Hey guys, it's Devery here for another Made by Devery tutorial. Today we're going to be learning how to do a wrap and turn. Now there are several techniques to doing this wrap and turn. The two that I'm going to show you are my favorite. A wrap and turn is basically when you're working down a length of stitching, but before getting to the end you stop and you're going to wrap a stitch and turn around and work back, and that's called a short row. Now the wrap and turn is important because by knitting down and knitting back you will create a small gap in the stitching because this side is going to be taller than this side, so it's important to do the wrap and turn. This first technique that I'm going to show you, the way I do it, it works wonderfully in a garter stitch. You can tell already on my sample that you can't really see where the wrap and turns are, which makes it perfect when you're knitting to hide it. This technique is used in the tails of my mermaid, Dory, and Nemo, and shark blankets. So once you get down to the part of the pattern, it'll tell you to knit a certain number of stitches. I believe it's 14. You're just going to knit those 14 stitches. On this sample, I'm not going to knit nearly as many. So you'll knit your stitches, and then you're going to bring that working yarn to the front of your work. Okay, now I'm going to move my hand here so that you can see. So you bring that to the front of your work. You're going to slip that next stitch off your left hand needle purlwise. Okay, then you're going to bring that yarn back around to the back of your work, and you're going to slip that stitch back to that needle again. And so you've basically just wrapped around this stitch. It's kind of like anchoring your short row here. So then you'll turn your work. You'll bring that yarn back around to the back side, and then you'll knit those same stitches that you knit in the beginning. So you haven't gone all the way across all the rows of stitching, or all the rows of all the stitches here that you have in that row. You've just created a short row. And so this side, you can tell on my pattern here that this side is kind of starting to get fatter than the center. Okay, now this technique works wonderfully, like I said, in the garter, but when you're working in stockinette stitch, it's not as great, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but right here is where I wrapped and turned, and it's got like a little, almost looks like a purl bump right there. Now that's fine if you don't mind the purl bump, but as you can see on the rest of my work here, you can't see any of the wraps because of how I worked them afterwards. So we're gonna go through and try that, and I'll show you that technique. It works great for camouflaging those wraps when you don't really want them to be seen, like I said, in a stockinette stitch. Let me just knit across my sample here. Sorry, it's very warm in my house today, which is making everything just a bit sticky. Okay, so I'm ready to work a short row on my stockinette side. So again, any pattern will indicate how many stitches to work before the wrap and turn. So you'll knit any amount of stitches that are indicated, okay? And then for this, instead of wrapping this next stitch that's right there, what I like to do is take a bobby pin, or you can use a safety pin or anything that you want to hold your place, but I like to place it right on that knitting and pull it down. You can see I've pulled it down to the base of that stitch, okay? And what that's done is it's kind of created a wrap, but I'm not wrapping around a stitch, I'm just wrapping around the base of this. So then, once I turn, I will kind of hold that in my thumb right here against the needle so it kind of stays taut, and then I will, you know, purl the stitches back. And now the magic comes when you go back to work that wrap. So on the next round, after you've done your wrap, when you get to that bobby pin, let's see, it's right there. Once you get to that bobby pin, you're going to see how I pulled it and it has that little tiny loop right there. You're going to slide that on your needle. Take that bobby pin off, and now you have that little stitch there, and you can see the hole that would be created if you didn't do any sort of wrap and turn method. You'd have that big hole there, that gap there, and that's not very pretty when you're looking at your knitting. So now that I've got this wrap that's essentially the wrap, I'm going to knit the next stitch and the wrap together. So now you can see it's virtually impossible to see it. It's so seamless and nice, and you can't even tell on here, other than that one with the little bump, you can't tell how many wraps and turns I have on here because they're so nicely hidden. So I hope that this helps with a few of my patterns that have these techniques. The other one is my animal hat pattern. It has a lot of these invisible wraps that makes it so nice and wonderful that you can't tell how many short rows you've done. So thank you, and I hope you guys have a good day.